episode of Booked, a place to explore the realms of creativity. Today's guest is Stephen C. Evans. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Saffron. How are you? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This was like a really quick turnaround, so I'm really glad that you were able to do today. So this is the first and possibly only pre-recorded episode that we have for season 2. So special in some way or another. We don't have people heckling you in the chat, so it's probably a good thing in some way. But yeah, it's nice to not have like the pressure of knowing people are watching me, even though I can't see them, because that's like really odd and a bit creepy. So yeah, I'm excited about this.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, of course, it's my pleasure. So today we're largely going to talk about your newest release, which is due out on the 25th of November. So that'll be the day before this episode goes live.
Okay.
So this is for Degree of Separation. And if you could just tell our listeners, our watchers, our creeps, whatever you want to call them, our booklings, what to expect from your work.
Yeah. So I guess maybe just a little bit about kind of the stuff that I write, and then maybe a little bit more about Degree of Separation specifically. But
sounds good.
So I grew up. I know I was probably too young for this to have been appropriate at all, but I remember being like little. My parents would leave me with the babysitter. I don't even remember who the babysitter was, but she would let us watch. I remember the old Twilight Zone, and I was maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Oh my goodness!
And it was terrifying and fascinating at the same time. But ever since I was just really little, I loved like that smack you in the face kind of twist ending kind of stuff, where you just really. And as a kid, it didn't take much to shock me, but just telling a really cool story and then just really hitting you with something heavy at the end. So when I started writing, most of what I started writing was short stories that are very much, I would describe as, very Twilight Zone-y, very Black Mirror kind of. Just if you can do something at the end that people, even the people who are trying to figure it out didn't see coming. It's just kind of my favorite story to tell. I'm very, very character driven and very character oriented. I mean, so I think that even more. I mean, obviously, I always want to tell a good story. The kind of story that I would want to read is usually what guides me. But even more than that, if you start reading about a person that you just really don't care about, anytime I've ever read a book, I'm just like, I hope this guy dies soon. That's hopefully not. Yeah, I'm going for the opposite. That whether they make it or not, people care. So we're just trying to flush people out, and so really just well-populated stories with just something interesting going on, and some things that you don't see coming. That's kind of just that philosophy. Obviously, started off the short stories and those types of things that I've written and published. And then when I was going to tackle Degree of Separation, which has definitely been the biggest project I've ever taken on, that was just kind of the guiding philosophy going into it. Was just when it came to the story, when it came to my characters, when it came to just the setting, which was more ambitious than anything I've ever tried. Just being able to have everything from where they were to who they were to what was happening to them, just being really kind of flushed out and well-rounded.
Cool. So with Degree of Separation, it's just a running theme for me. I haven't finished it, but I have been reading it. I have been enjoying it. There's so much going on. It's a really complex, like WTF sort of story for me. And when you first open the book and you start to read it, there is a diagram. And I'm not going to give anything away because I don't know how you feel about spoilers.
No, that's
diagram, and I'm looking at it and thinking, why do I need to know this? What is it? What is that? And it took me a minute to figure out how it related to the story. And then after is it a prologue?
Yeah.
After the prologue, I was like, oh, okay, I know what this thing is now. But it made it intriguing. So I was like, okay, so something, and that's important somehow because you're telling me about it immediately.
So, I mean, honestly, probably about 10 years ago, maybe, or we're going back a decade before I ever started writing Degree of Separation. I love science. I love tech. Just, and one of the things I've always loved to play around with, even just in my own head when I'm bored, but with short stories and everything else, is just really kind of looking at like cutting edge tech. I mean, I know when I was a kid, I was a weird kid. It's not to say I'm not a weird adult, but I mean, we would go to the store. There was a place where you get a haircut, and across the way was this huge bookstore.
Mhm.
We would go over, and my brother would want like highlights books and like Sports Illustrated, and I'm like, can I get some popular science? And I would just, I just loved like seeing the tech and not just what we've got, but extrapolate what this could turn into, how it could be utilized, how it might change society. And so probably, a good 10 so years ago, I just had flushed out this imaginary world where science and tech had just gone so far in the future, where everything, and especially with like energy crisis and global warming and environment, where this prototype city had been created, and everything about it was super conscientious about recapturing energy, and so you shut the door, it reclaims the energy, you walk on the floor, you flush the toilet, like everything, and then that energy consumption became the currency, and it just turned into this huge sprawling kind of prototype megacity. And for a long time I had no idea what to do with it. It was kind of
really?
The last thing I would ever do is compare myself to Tolkien, but I remember once reading that he was a linguist and he invented all of these languages for fun. It was a hobby, and he just had all these imaginary languages and he had no idea what to do with them. So he wrote The Hobbit. He just created these things just so we had something to, and it was kind of like that. I had this huge world existing. It wasn't popular with anything, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. And it was the seed that grew into Degree of Separation. But when I started writing it, I very easily got confused as to where in this huge complex things were happening, where people were at, how they were getting from place to place. So I had to hand sketch just where people were and what this place looked like. So I had a place to reference what was going on, and I didn't get myself too confused and lost while I was at it. And that eventually evolved into what you see when you turn the page in one of the books.
Really? That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So when you were writing it and trying to keep everything together, it sounds like you're quite a visual person. Did you also have like a way of organizing all the people, or did you just have that image there and you were like pointing at it when you were writing?
Well, it's another funny story, because Degree of Separation, it really came about in a lot of ways by accident. So I was really trying, I was writing a short story. I can't even remember like what my working title was at the time, but it was just one guy, and he was trapped between parallel realities, and he couldn't, and I really didn't even have it flushed out like how this happened. I was gonna be like, it's gonna be a cool twist ending, which I don't know what that is. So I'm writing the story, I'm like, I'll figure out why the story is cool later. But this guy was just kind of trapped between these two parallel versions of his reality, and was kind of tossed back and forth between the two of them. And things were deteriorating as he went, and he had to figure out like what was happening and how to stop it, or both universes were essentially just going to fully collide, implode on each other, and everything was going to be destroyed. And it was just not working at all. It was boring. I was like, why do I even care what happens to this guy? I mean, and I really couldn't fit any kind of an interesting, comprehensive story in 5,000 words or less. And I was frustrated with it. And it really just kind of was one of those aha moments where I was like, this dude lives in that city. And so once I realized that this story of being kind of stuck with kind of imploding, parallel realities in this huge kind of futuristic mega city, then things started to flow. And I realized I needed to populate it. I needed more than one person to be in, in this huge futuristic city. And so I just, I did. And I'm an outliner. My outlines never survive to the end, but they're definitely a great frame of reference for me. So I developed a cast of characters, all of the people that I thought either would mostly survive, or at least would live long enough to be mostly relevant to the story before the bad things happened. I had kind of a separate cast of characters, and I'm just like, you are going to be how I show people the stakes are high. I'm sorry about what I'm about to do to you, kind of a people, and then just kind of, I kind of spelled out, okay, so this is, this is you, this is where you live, this is where you work, this is your role in this community, this is your job, that kind of a thing. And once that kind of, I had them laid out. I kind of had the flow as to where everybody was going to come from, and I just kind of threw them together, and the outline didn't survive past that point. It never does.
They rarely do. I feel like people that are able to plot out a book and it goes exactly the way that they thought are so rare. They're so rare because some things happen and you realize, well, that's not going to work, or oh, that person can just die anyway, so it's okay.
Yep, nope. Once my imaginary people meet each other, all hell breaks loose.
Everyone is a sacrificial lamb until you finish writing the
book. Yep, pretty much.
So before I finish the book, is it a standalone or will it be a series?
No, I mean, at this point, I don't have any plans for it to be a series.
Okay.
I mean, if at some point in the future I kind of woke up and I just had an idea as to kind of something else that was kind of brewing in Invictus, then which is the name of the city, then I wouldn't hold myself back from adding to the story. But at this point, I was happy with kind of how I wrapped things up and how things kind of flowed together and what the conclusion was for those left standing at the end. So.
Okay, good. Do you know what? I don't tend to like a series, if I'm being totally honest. I'm a one and done kind of gal. That's why I like things like Black Mirror, for example. Like a TV series that has
really episodic.
Yes, I much prefer that because I think, okay, well, I don't have to think about this anymore. It's done. And when it hangs on with me and I'm like, I just have to watch more. I just have to read more. It winds me up because there's not enough hours in the day to complete the thing.
I mean, I love a good story. And I love it when I get to continue living on with a great story.
Yeah.
But there is a sense of anxiety of I want some closure and conclusion too. So I'm not a never say never. I'm a never say never kind of guy. But I've never written anything that wasn't a standalone story, whether it was a short or a novel. Everything I've ever written to date, and even kind of. I've got 2 projects right now in the works, and the plan for those is they'll be what they are, and then the curtain will close.
Awesome, good. That's good to know, just for my own well-being. So you said that you first had this initial idea that's sort of seeded this book. About, did you say 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was probably at least a good 10 years ago.
Okay, so from the point where you were like, this is going to be an actual full book, between that point and today, roughly, what's that timeline?
Well, it really does depend on kind of how you. I'm guilty of probably letting stories incubate for probably way too long. I mean, if it was dinner, it would come out as a hockey puck. I probably had this concept for the city a good maybe 10 years ago. I think I maybe tried to write that short story 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
And failed, and then just got frustrated and set it aside. And I kind of wrote and published a couple of the shorts. And then I came back to it, and it was maybe like 2 years ago, and it clicked. I was like, this is the same story. This story needs to happen inside this world. And at that point, I started writing, and I work full time, so that's the thing. So when I write a novel, it's usually while I'm cramming lunch in my mouth with this hand and typing and eating lunch, and then when the lunch break is over, then I kind of go back to work, and so it can take me a while sometimes to kind of to get through things. So I would say, depending on how you're counting it, anywhere between like 2 and 10 years from when I started writing the story to when the thought kind of popped into my head, wouldn't let go, or different timelines.
Time is an illusion anyway.
Exactly.
No, it's obviously been on your mind for a really long time, but that's quite the fact that you found a publisher and your book is coming out yesterday when this comes out. That's a really short turnaround. Like, that's quite impressive. Like, even if you're thinking about the story and it's going through different iterations, to actually commit those words to paper, to screen, or whatever, however you do it, and also have like the cover done and it all formatted and it's ready to go, that's a really short period of time. So what was your querying journey like?
That's a really good question. So I guess I will start with so I had written another novel in the past, and I had run into which I was really excited about. That was kind of the first full length novel I'd ever written. And I shipped that out, convinced that this is everyone is going to realize how awesome this was, which is not what happened. My mom loved it.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, exactly right. You start there. No, but and I think the most awesome and frustrating thing that I was told with that initial novel was, if you were not a debut author, we would probably pick this up. But you are a debut author, and so we're going to pass. And that was just like, oh, well, so it was validating. It was like somebody thought that it was a good story. It was worth reading, but it was like, there's got to be a first time sometime, and so that went, as far as it went. And then, so I did kind of go into the second. I really tried to learn as much as I could from that one, from the feedback that I got from it, from the reviews that I got from it. And I went into this one really determined, not just to, first and foremost, I wanted to just tell the kind of story that I would really enjoy reading. But I was also really determined to tell a story that people would realize and be able to see, maybe in a way that first go around, didn't happen, was really worth reading. And so I spit it out. I started, and you get, querying is one of the hardest things. It is. I will say that my early teenage life and adolescence prepared me well for the kind of rejection that you face when you're querying. So I had already developed the kind of thick skin I needed, for such a journey. But it really, honestly, I believe, Watchful Wizard has been amazing. I think it found exactly the right home. They saw it. They really, I think, saw in it what I was hoping that somebody would. And it was just a perfect balance of, let's help polish this as much as we can while being able to see that, that this is a great story, and we need to excavate it, as opposed to scrap this and scrap that and let's change that, and this will sell better, so change. It really was the journey that I was hoping that would find, in terms of sifting through and really finding a really good home. And I couldn't be happier with how awesome Watchful Wizard has been to work with. And I don't think anybody could have helped polish it into anything better than what readers are going to have in their hands.
That's a hell of a compliment for the house. That's a hell of a compliment. So did you query directly with them?
So I know, I'll be honest, right? I'm just a guy I'm a therapist by day, right? So I just kind of go to work, I do my job, and I've always loved to write. I've done it my whole life, but for fun, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It came to, like, okay, I'm done writing. Now what? You do the research, and what do I do now? But so I started initially just like, hey, I'll send this out to like some agents, and I think quite a few of them were the ones that would respond were really polite and just saying, like, hey, dude, you haven't written anything yet, So I'm like, yeah, but this one, So I've I probably got 10 or 15 shorts that have about gotten out there, and a couple of them did pretty well. I've had some features, and I've had some like Reader's Choice Awards and that kind of stuff, and I acknowledge that, comparatively speaking, when agents are getting just hundreds, if not thousands, of things in their face all the time, like, hey, I wrote this really cool flash fiction and a bunch of people liked it, man. So I started with just let's see, and I got some positive feedback, but most of it amounted to like, hey, we really like your enthusiasm. Maybe later, so then I pivoted and was like, what, there's just so many great places out there that I think might be eager to acknowledge that this is the right fit, and that's kind of what ended up ultimately leading me to Watchful Wizard.
That's cool. So from the point that you sort of said, hey, I've got this cool book you want to have, don't you, to now, what's that time period like?
To right now, so I would probably say Maybe about 14 to 15 months.
Bad.
Well, and maybe a little longer. Maybe a little longer. Probably about a year and a half. I would say that I spent about 6 months as part of the process of trying to find the right home. And I would say I've been working with Watchful Wizard for maybe just a little bit shy of a year. It's probably been about 9 months or so that
really
they've been amazing to work with, and the editing process has been great. I mean, Alex and John Luke are just so user friendly and
so
responsive.
Nice.
So it's been awesome. I mean, you got to question the turnaround. I couldn't believe how quickly the editing process went. I would get 3 chapters and I would go through and I'd be like, okay, here we go, and I would send it, and I'm like, it's going to take her a while to get to the next batch, and I'm like, oh, look, there it is. So
that's so cool.
I'm not sure if they ever sleep, but yeah, it was just a really great, quick, thorough process.
That's really cool. I'm glad that you've had such a positive experience. Having I got to interview Alex, and she's so nice. She's so lovely. And John Luke's obviously really cool as well. Yeah, it's really good to hear the authors that I've spoken to that have published with them have all had such a good experience. It's nice when you have, because they're traditional publishers from what I gather, but it's, to me, I'd still class them as part of the indie scene because they're not one of the sort of big dogs, but the quality of work that they put out there is really, really good. So it's nice to see good people succeed. That's always a
I've just really appreciated, I think, in a way that, at least if I'm just speaking about my experience, the fact that they really are willing to kind of look and consider things from maybe obscure sources. Like I said, I mean, by the time they took a look at Degree of Separation, I would say that the only kind of professional chops that I had was, were maybe 10 short stories or so, and then Degree of Separation. So I think a lot of people would say, not even looking at the novel for its own merit, but just like, we really don't know who this guy is. We've only got so much time. We're not even going to roll the dice. Yeah. And they really did. They gave me that chance, and it's been awesome.
Oh, I'm really, really pleased to hear that. Yeah, I love it. I get warm and fuzzy when people have a good time in their publishing journey, because it's a rough world out there. It's so off-putting to see the struggle bus that people are on to try and get seen. Hence why I do this, because I just think, like, I'm a nobody, and who am I to say that somebody is worth time or they're not? And I think just being able to see someone for who they are and to give them the opportunity, doesn't matter how big this platform is, doesn't matter how big, Watchful Wizard's house is now, it's everything has to start from somewhere. And if you, I don't know, I've got strong feelings about, like, I'm a first come first serve kind of person, that if you come to the door, then I'll let you in, not in my house, because that'd be creepy. like for this stuff,
that's a good rule. It's a big
don't come to my house. I like to stay indoors, and I don't like people that much. This is good because I can just if I don't like it, but you can't do that in real life. It's rude. Anyway, but yeah, I'm very much a first come first serve person. And I think if somebody's willing to share their story in whatever capacity that is, then I, or whoever it is, really should give them the opportunity to tell their story, because you never know what you're going to get until it's happened. So yeah, I'm really glad that you had that opportunity. That's very cool.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate, obviously, this opportunity as well.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a lot of fun. I love this. It's like, it's not work at all. It's just like, yeah, let's do this. Let's have a chat. And then that's good. So a question that I ask some people, and I decided I wanted to ask you, is who do you write for?
So, okay. So, I mean, and this is going to sound like a huge cliche. I know that it will. And this has not always been the case, but I think that it was a place I had to get to. But myself first. If I'm not writing something, I mean, that is the very first thing. If I'm not writing something that I would want to read, then no one's going to want to read it, because it's going to be disingenuous. And I'll be honest, I mean, this has always been a dream of mine. I mean, I always wanted to be a writer. I mean, I can remember being just a little kid, and I would write. I remember this. I was in like 6th or 7th grade, and we'd have these writing assignments, and they would just give you these little prompts. And I remember, I'm pretty sure my teacher even sent a note home to my mom, because I would turn in 20 or 30 pages of a story, and like this was a 500-word assignment, dude. I mean, I kept handing her these stories, and she's like, "No, man, no." And so, and I did, like, when I first went to college, my initial major, I declared English, and I was going to be a writer. And I realized, like, A, I have a long way of going. B, I really like to eat. So we pivoted. I mean, there were other things God had in store for me, and I needed to listen to that too. But when I first would write, I know I especially had a buddy who in college, and we would write, and he started kind of taking off. He was writing short stories, and he was getting them picked up, and he was getting published. And we both wrote like the same kind of nerdy sci-fi stuff, and taking off. And I was just like, I'm happy for you. You suck. I mean, but and so a lot of what I started writing, I would try to pigeonhole it. So I'm like, I'm going to write something that it's going to be awesome and other people are going to like. And it was really kind of an immature approach. Like, what are the people? Because my wife, who's awesome, in all of this, but I am a significant sci-fi nerdy guy. My wife, not even a little. Right. And so early on, I would start selling short stories, and she would be like, and she's an English teacher, and she'd be like, listen, can we make a deal? If you don't ever have me read anything that you write, then I won't have to tell you that I don't like it because I don't like, she's like, I've read your Dean Koontz stuff, and I've read the Stephen King stuff, and I don't like that. So it's not personal, the best story ever conceived. I won't like it. Let's make a deal now. Right. I mean, and so it's like, if I write a story for her, if I write a story for this person, if I write a story for, and it did take me longer than it should have to realize that it's got to be you first. It really does.
Yeah.
If you come up with an idea that you find fascinating, that you find exciting, and then you come up with a great kind of what if, and then you come up with some pretty creative ways to torture these people that, that you've burned in your head. And then you just go from there. I think when you write something that you can enjoy, then like-minded or at least open-minded people will follow suit.
I think it also, I agree with it not being genuine, because I can tell when I'm reading a story that whether or not the person is excited to tell me that story. And if they're not excited to tell me it, I don't want to read it. I don't want to hear about it, because why should I care about it if you don't? Yeah. I can forgive things like spelling mistakes, grammar, structure, if they're just excited. Because I'm
good.
Yeah, I'm excited too. That wasn't a comment on your work, by the way. I just meant in general. Like, there are lots of things that I can forgive about a story that, if they are coming from somebody's heart, I don't care about them. Like, the sort of, to me, they're superficial things. Like, when I was little, when I was younger, and I could actually write with my pen or whatever, I used to love writing. Didn't really care about English. Didn't really care about the whole structure of things and how things were supposed to go. I just wanted to get the story out, and I think that's why it took me so long to get into this world of writing and storytelling, because I was always told, like, yeah, that's great, but you need to concentrate more, or you need to think about your sentence structure or whatever it is. And I don't when I'm speaking, so I can't when I'm writing. And that was such a struggle for me. And so I don't care if people worry about that or not.
I can relate to that 100%. Hopefully I'm not boring anybody and everybody who's listening to this, but another true story. In 13 years of school, K through 12, I only ever got one detention in my entire life.
Oh.
And it was for reading in English class. This is a true story. I was in 6th grade, and my teacher, she was doing grammar on the board. And so I was reading Jurassic Park under the desk, because
that's such a good choice.
I didn't care about the rules, but Jurassic Park, I was reading about dinosaurs, and I was so into it, and ignoring her lesson on grammar completely, that she snuck up on me, and I was too engrossed to notice. And when I looked up, she was standing over my shoulder, and that's the only thing I ever got nails for. So.
Man, I don't know that I could tell off a kid for reading.
Yep.
I don't think I could do
reading in
that.
English class, and that was the only detention that stuck. I got away with a lot more, but that one stuck.
That's wild. I can't even fathom punishing a kid for reading, especially not a good book.
I don't know if she approved of me reading Jurassic Park at that age either. My parents were great, but the library was only a block from the school, and I don't know if they always knew what I had in hand.
Do you know what? There are worse things. Much worse things.
I think they would probably agree with that now too.
It got off really lightly. So another question I like to ask people is, what is your benchmark for success when it comes to your writing?
In terms of like where I am already at now, or in terms of kind of like future goals, that kind of a thing?
Generally. So what does success look like to you in any of your projects?
So, I mean, I guess maybe the biggest thing, honestly, if I were to say, I don't think that there would be a bigger benchmark of success than if someone genuinely came up to me in an honest way and said, your book is my favorite book. Right? I mean, and so, I mean, it would be awesome to sell a lot of books. It would be awesome to, to circulate. I mean, it'd be nice to make some money because I could eat more food, but, but I obviously I would love to be successful. I want my book to spread. I want it to get out there, but I think more than anything else, like you said, if I'm writing a story, I quit if it doesn't hold me. If I don't care about these people, if they're not kind of haunting me all the time, if I'm not kind of dying to know what happens next, even when I'm not writing, it's bouncing around in my head, and when I write the kinds of things that I like, I mean, my biggest benchmark for success is when somebody reads it, they enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. So I think that would just be the biggest thing, is if somebody were to be like, this is my new favorite book, I wouldn't need anything else at that point.
That's really cool. I think that's very wholesome and very realistic. And I love it when people give me that answer, because I'm like, okay, that's achievable. Success is achievable. But it's also good to have lofty goals. Like obviously.
Goal number 2 is deciding who plays who in the movie.
Yes, I totally get that. Like, I've been working on my debut for too long and it's still not finished. Have I already decided who's going to play who in the movie? Yes. Have I already decided that I'm going to have it written into my contract that I have to attend the filming on every day? Because I'm
there it is.
Absolutely.
100%. Yep. And that's always there too.
Yeah, right. Oh dear. Anyway, I mean, I believe in having lofty goals and to expect the absolute best out of a potential situation, because then I don't believe in manifesting in the sense like it's just going to happen because it's going to happen because of fairies or whatever. No disrespect to anyone that believes that, but that's just not how I think of it. I think if you say to yourself, this is going to be successful and this is going to go this positive way, then you inadvertently make the decisions that lead you to that point. Whereas if you're doubting yourself the whole time, then why would you bother? Because it's going to go wrong anyway. So I definitely think just keep thinking about that movie deal. It'll happen eventually.
There we go. Exactly.
So what do you hope that people are going to get from reading Degree of Separation? Because you've already said that you like your character-driven sort of style and sort of what you've put into it, but what do you hope people get out of it?
So, I mean, I guess there's maybe a big answer to that and a short answer to that, right? I mean, I think, for me, sometimes like I'll read a book and I'll get to the end and I'm just like, oh, I'm just so happy. I mean, it was so cool. And I'm also bummed to be at the end. And I wish I could go back and read it again for the first time. I mean, I think just somebody who can read it and enjoy it, and it is what a reading journey is for me most of the time. I mean, I read a lot of things because I have to, but I love it when I get to read the things that I want to. And then when I get to the end, how much I wanted to read it was just completely justified. I mean, at the same time, I mean, everybody's different, and it's usually a pretty subtle thing, but my faith is really important to me, and so I work just a lot of the values that I think that are the most important to me, and I think a lot of I don't even know if it's completely intentional a lot of the time, but I think the things that have shaped my life the most, right? So things like just growth through suffering, you know, that, I mean, almost every single one of us can point to things in our lives that were just brutal, you know, and if it were up to us, we would just go back and erase. But at the same time, if we really acknowledge it, there are just so many strengths, just so much of kind of some of the best things in life. We can look back and we can trace it to these things. I mean, you know, it was a forge and a crucible, and this thing came from it. And so I think those are very frequently themes that I play with. I mean, in Degree of Separation, very much so. There are a few really significant themes. I mean, connectivity, how connected we are to each other. And so that's, I mean, I've already kind of spoken a little bit. I don't think it's any kind of a spoiler, but you know, I was really excited even just about the name, you know, because it's that degree of separation. It's parallel realities that are, you know, supposed to be separate and spilling over on each other. But essentially, this journey starts with all of these strangers who don't know each other and have nothing to do with each other. And this crisis just kind of throws them together. And every single one of them is connected to something in their life that isolates them, whether it's grief, you know, or a sense of duty, or greed, or ambition, whatever it is. They've all got something that they're connected to, and it's only until and if they let go of those things that they can actually find something or someone healthier to connect to, you know, and which is where that sense of growth comes for so much of us, and that other underlying theme of, you know, the vast majority of the time, I mean, without pain and without suffering, you know, we don't have an impetus, or we don't have kind of what it takes to grow from those things. I mean, it's so often the catalyst for us becoming something better, stronger, you know, more in line with who and what we're supposed to be. I mean, and hopefully people can read Degree of Separation and just enjoy it because it's a fun story, but also maybe get something from at least some of those concepts and values that I tried to build into the heart of it.
Not a light read.
There's monsters too. It's a little bit of Die Hard. It's a little bit of Stranger Things. It's a little bit of Black Mirror.
Though I felt a hint of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as well.
I will. I'm a pretty self-aware guy. I have a very specific sense of humor, and I think it's the kind of thing that people either appreciate or wonder if they need to call somebody. And that's just, I think, another one of those things. I think for a long time, early on, I would try to write a specific kind of humor into my stories, and it wasn't until I just like, nope, you're gonna just get the kind of humor that's already bouncing around up there. And so there's definitely, I think, and it does lean a little bit more to the absurd sometimes. So you're probably not wrong. I mean, if you see some Hitchhiker's Guide in there, that's a little bit of 42.
Yes, Whisper of Douglas Adams. That's my favorite kind of humor. I love ridiculousness, and I love just off the wall crazy stuff. So it's a compliment.
I appreciate it. And I mean, I think I it just kind of went where it went, but you know, and I know, like, early on when I was, you know, younger and reading, I read a lot of Dean Koontz and that kind of thing, where if you tried to identify what kind of books he wrote, it's like, is it science fiction? Is it horror? Are these comedies? Are these romances? You know, and there really was just, you got some of everything. And so I think I benefited maybe from realizing early on, like, you don't really need to try too hard to make it anything in particular. If you've got a ridiculous character who just never stops running his mouth, and then you let him run his mouth.
I know who you're talking about. No, I think I feel like I spoke to somebody recently that had a similar thing where they were trying to write something that wasn't natural to them, and then when they leaned into the thing that was natural for them, it then sort of flowed a bit better and is easier to do. There's no point in trying to shoehorn something in because you think people will like it more. It goes back to being more genuine. You know, if you do something that just naturally comes to you, then it's going to be easier to write and easier to read because it will flow a lot better.
I think absolutely.
Yeah. Books, man.
Exactly.
Oh, wild. So you are self-confessed big nerd.
Yep.
Do you play any video games?
You know what? I'll tell you. I used to be a really big video game guy when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had children.
Mm-hmm.
And then my children would say, "Hey, Dad, let's play video games together."
Mm-hmm.
And then that would evolve to me just watching them play my video games. And so video games are still a big part of my life, but usually it was watching my kids play and it just being busier and you know, we've gotten kind of a place now where okay, we can play more mature games and we do that. But yeah, I remember, and I'm maybe a little bit older than I once was, but I was guilty on occasion of being back in college. We had on our room. I was lucky enough. It was just the whole floor was just a bunch of great guys. And we just networked all of our computers and like, hey, we got class, but we're just going to play StarCraft. And there were just 30 guys just trying to kill each other, you know, on a different planet. And you know, we should be in class, but we are not. There were more than a few times that we should have been someplace else, and we were not. That's what we were up to instead.
It's fine. It's good for your hand-eye coordinations, team building.
Exactly.
We
were in it for the story.
Exactly, which is basically reading. So would you lean more towards like sci-fi based games or
my favorite game of all time, and I am still waiting for the next one to come out, and I've been waiting for a long time, but like StarCraft, you know, and as I'm maybe dating myself, but that is just my favorite game of all time. If and when I ever play that game, time ceases to have any meaning. But I like thinkers. I mean, I like anything that really kind of takes thinking and creativity and problem solving, world building, and all those kinds of things. But yeah, my favorite games do tend to lead to, you know, like Detroit, or you know, kind of all those kind of sci-fi nerdy kind of things.
Cool. Are you the same with TV as well?
Yep. Oh, pretty much. I mean, I can be relatively well. I guess I would say I'm very good at this stage of my life of pretending to be a normal person. But
that's boring.
I blend in. I can blend in. But no, I'm a big speculative fiction kind of guy, sci-fi, fantasy, that kind of stuff, for sure.
If you like spec fic and sci-fi type things, you should check out the author Ian Sullivan.
Okay.
His spec fiction is fantastic.
I'm always looking for great new stuff, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's great. He's good. He did an anthology. I'm not trying to sell his stuff on your show, but just I think it's a recommendation. Do you like superhero stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay. He did an anthology, not an anthology. What we're talking about, a short story collection called Super Powerless, and it's like alternate versions of what it would be like if superheroes were real, and some of it's introspective and like a bit melancholy, but there's a lot of dark humor and stuff in it. I do think you'd really like it.
Okay, yeah, I love all that kind of, and any of that kind of stuff. I'm guilty of getting sucked into things pretty hard too. I mean, the Boys, when that came out, holy cow!
I still haven't watched it. Is it worth it? Should I watch it?
I mean, it's, you know, like you said, like that dark humor and it just exploring. Like maybe in my opinion, kind of the more realistic. A more realistic look at like what would really happen if people got some of these powers. I mean, we love in you know, an unimpeachable kind of a character, a Superman, a Spider-Man that just self-sacrifice. But like most of us are so flawed, you know, that you gave us more power. You know, let's take a real look at what that would you know be. And the Boys, I think, is a great picture of what would happen if powers kind of landed out there indiscriminately. But all those like Black Mirror and the Boys and
Black Mirror.
It's that I would say with the exception of one of my short stories, actually the very first short story I ever got published ever. It was a Western. It was flash fiction, and season spoilers because this is a 20-year-old story, but it was it was Old West, and there was this dude standing in the middle of the road in this Old West town in the middle of the night, and there's this guy riding his horse into town, and he's there, and he's got his hand on the handle of his tool of his trade, and he knows his mom is ashamed of how he makes his living, but someone's got to to do this job, and the guy that's coming into town, he's waiting for him. That's why he's there. It's his job. And the guy just passes right by, and the horse just takes a shit in the road, and he's the pooper scooper. And that was the first thing I ever got published. So I can honestly say 100% the very first story I ever got published was a piece of shit.
That's so funny.
But every story I've written since that's what has been sci-fi. And I would say even before Black Mirror was a thing, like the Twilight Zone was just something I was obsessed with as a kid. And every one of my shorts kind of follows that kind of a model, just something really unique, something really cool. Just I love asking really creative what if questions that maybe wouldn't occur to anybody else, and then exploring that. I mean, I think I got one of my shorts that's done better than anything else was just kind of a straightforward, typical War of the Worlds kind of a thing. We get invaded by these aliens, and they just come in and they just take us out. I mean, wipe us out almost pretty quick. And they finally come, face to face with world leaders, and they're like, okay, hey, we got your message. And like, we didn't send a message. And then they just show a bunch of cameras on the moon, and there's the 17 American flags that are on the moon, but they've been up there so long, they're bleached white from radiation. And they're like, hey, no, we saw your message. We accept your surrender. We accidentally surrendered to the aliens just because we threw our flags up there and left them. That's the kind of twist I like. The Black Mirror, Twilight Zone just didn't see coming kind of stuff. And I enjoy watching and reading that kind of stuff too. So, and I don't mind quirky. I'll tell you what, I really struggle with my current obsession with Resident Alien. I love it so much. So good. So it can, the whole spec can be silly. It can be serious. It can be, God put that on the inside of people for a reason. I don't need to see it. Wherever it lands, I mean, a good story is a good story.
No, I totally agree. I think I've said this before. I don't remember anymore. I just all the episodes meld into one. I'm just gonna say it again. I love it when I don't expect the twist because I'm constantly trying to guess from like the moment something starts. I'm insufferable. I am not a pleasant person to watch television with or watch movies.
And I am absolutely
the same. But it's them. Oh, I'm so annoying.
100. Well, and that's, I think again, that's a fun challenge. I can annoy people the same way. Yeah, it's just I know you're trying to fool me, and I'm going to try to keep you. But I would agree is if I'm trying, and I would say that's maybe another answer too to maybe when I know I've been successful is when someone's trying to guess it. They know I'm trying to pull the wool over their eyes. They're trying to figure out what it is, and they can still come to me like you still got me. That's a fun feeling.
Yeah, I am a big fan of that. For sure. I don't like predictability. Yeah, big fan. So before we wind down for I was going to say for the evening. It is evening technically, but this is going out in the afternoon. Is there anything that you wanted to tell our listeners about that you haven't had the chance to?
Well, I just honestly, what I would just say at this point is, I really appreciate you giving me a venue to talk about this. I mean, this whole process has been just so amazing and exciting. And like you referenced before, it can be so frustrating and disheartening when you work really, really hard and you struggle so much to kind of find somebody who maybe can see and appreciate what you've got and what is there. And then you finally find that home and things take momentum. I just so appreciate everybody who's helped me on that journey and helped make this possible. And I would just say, I mean, just genuinely to anybody out there, I mean, who's willing to give Degree of Separation a read, I think you'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. It really is. I mean, these are characters that just they couldn't help but come alive in my head. They're some of my favorite imaginary people these days. I mean, and so I just want to say thank you to anybody who invests their time. I know it's overwhelming. I go to a bookstore and you give me 15 minutes and I'll see 100 books that I want to go home with. And so if mine is the one that makes the cut, I just sincerely want to say thank you, for giving me a chance. And I think that you'll love it. And I just really appreciate you choosing to spend the time with, all the shit I made up.
What a sign off. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for telling me all about your process and your new release. So Degree of Separation is coming out yesterday, the day that this comes out. So I'll put the link in the description. So make sure you go take a look at it. And I hope that your release is really successful, and I hope that everybody loves it. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Evan. I really appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun. I've really appreciated it.
My face hurts from smiling so much. So it's been a good time. But yeah, so I'm going to fade in the music and I'll see you backstage.
Okay, thanks.